Works Committee to discuss the recycling contract. I am Chairwoman E.G. Henderson, and with us today, if you would just introduce yourself so everybody knows who's here, please.
I'm Kristen Cumrow, Finance Manager with Public Works.
Sharon Smith with Public Works.
Sharon Wallstrom with Public Works.
Mark Kate with Stones River Group, consultant for Waste Management.
And Andy Reynolds with Waste Management.
And Ms. Wallstrom and Ms. Smith, what are your roles at Public Works, please?
I'm Assistant Director.
Okay.
And I'm Deputy Director.
Okay, so over finance, Ms. Wallstrom, and Ms. Smith, you coordinate with beautification and the recycling program.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Alrighty, well, with that, I would just ask Public Works if you could begin the presentation, please.
Okay, and I'll start out. I believe it was about April of this year, we met with some representatives from Waste Management, who's our contractor, talking about, asking us to meet about the problems that have happened, not just in Nashville, but across the country with the changes in the material that China will accept for plastics and paper, or fiber as we like to call it, and how that's impacted not just them. Of course, we've been following the markets ever since this happened, and of course, in my role, I get a lot of publications and emails and articles that talk about how other cities are handling the changes. And so we met with them and discussed over several meetings and a lot of email exchange with Metro Purchasing as well, a potential amendment to the contract. What Waste Management explained to us is that they were losing a significant amount of money every month due to the structure of how our contract structure, and asked that we look at changing a few things. One that I was particularly happy about in the original contract was the fact that we have what's called a zero floor. A zero floor is very beneficial because it removes your liability. It means they can't charge us. So that was one thing they wanted to adjust. The other thing they wanted to adjust was...
And I apologize that we did not presently have a zero floor?
We did.
Okay.
We did, yeah. And they wanted to adjust the processing fees. So just to kind of put this in perspective, a lot of cities have been facing issues with recycling and contamination. 100%, well, I shouldn't say 100%, a large part of the reason that Waste Management approached us is because of the cost to remove contamination. If we were sending them 100% clean material, they would still have to charge us to separate the different types of material from, particularly in our curbside, where you've got everything mixed together. It costs them to process the material. The problem with kind of what we're facing here in Nashville is that we do have a lot of contamination, and you know, we've talked about this before. A lot of people putting plastic bags, for example, bagging recyclables, and we've started like our Oops Tag program and all that. In talking with them, we did a lot of back and forth, and we gave, they gave, and Sharon Wallstrom can explain sort of how we finally came up to where we are. But just so you all know, the change in processing fee is unfortunately consistent with what other cities are paying. A lot of cities are having to renegotiate contracts because in the past, recycling contracts were based on kind of two things for the processor. One was cost to process the material, and two was the revenue that they were going to get that would offset some of their costs, and that's part of how they would generate money. Most recycling companies now, because the revenue has gone beyond plummeting, and it's negative in some cases, processors have gone from sort of this two-way income stream of processing fees and revenue to a processing fee-based industry, where they are pretty much just making their money off of the revenue from the cities for processing. And so that's sort of what we're looking at here. Our negotiated fees will be consistent with what other cities are paying. I talked with one of the nonprofit organizations, Recycling Partnership, that works with a lot of cities on recycling, surveys a lot of cities, and they told me that most cities are paying anywhere from $80 to $100 on processing.
Per
ton.
Per ton.
Yeah. And that most cities are moving away from sort of guaranteed revenue to processing fees and having to cover the cost.
Okay. And the organization you spoke to that does this volunteer work and work, could you just name them particularly?
The Recycling Partnership.
Recycling Partnership.
Yes.
Okay.
And they are actually one of the nonprofit organizations that are providing funding for the expansion to every other week recycling as well. They do a lot of national work with cities trying to encourage and promote recycling, and they've been particularly helpful with us. They've helped us develop the OOPS tags. They've helped us develop the new recycling decals for our carts, and it's just like a huge benefit because they don't charge us anything. Mm-hmm. They're funded by industry partners that allow them to provide technical assistance to cities and counties like Nashville.
And who are those industry partners?
Oh, I can get you a list.
Okay.
I know the one that Nashville was working with particularly was Love Beauty Planet, but they have a lot of businesses that are trying to encourage them to assist recycling programs, container industry and folks like that, because they want their products recycled. So for Pepsi and Coke, which I think one of them, I don't remember which one, is one of their partners. They want their soda bottles to be recycled. So part of what they do is to try and help cities and counties through the Recycling Partnership to create good, consistent education and help them with carts and all that stuff. So that's sort of the background.
Okay, I appreciate that that context, and I guess you alluded to the kind of worldwide market dynamics, and at the end of last term, there was a lot in the press, whether New York Times or otherwise, just kind of what was going on relative to China, right, and what they're paying for stuff, and then so. We as council members then obviously at that juncture get the question of like, well, at various ends of the spectrum, like, well, why are we even doing this? And why are we going up to twice a month now? And, what is the cost to Metro? And so, I think what we as a body are trying to balance, right, are the environmental implications and our zero waste plan. And, I think we recognize nationally that we're not in a space of where this is a profitable endeavor, but from a cost perspective, there's also a cost to Metro of landfilling, and we're reaching capacity on adjacent landfills, and so balancing all that. So, I think through this meeting, I'm hoping that we have a very particular conversation about the contract amendments, but I also think it's important for us as a body to be able, whether through infographics or FAQ, and I know, Ms. Smith, you worked, and I'm not sure if it's present online, but I think you did. Great, and so that's something I think just because we have a new council, and I was not able to attend y'all's presentation at our retreat, and so I don't know if that was a resource you provided to council members, but whether it is through just cost and the rollout for twice a month, or frankly down to the level of why aren't we taking the plastic, food container stuff? Yeah. We're just, as a body, getting a lot of questions about this. So big picture context, all the way down to kind of the minutia of why don't you take this? So I think, I'm hopeful that we're filming this so that colleagues can see this, but that also we're providing kind of links and resources, just reminding folks where they can send constituents to answer these questions.
And just so you know, we'll be updating those FAQs because those were done prior to having these conversations.
Okay.
So we're gonna, and I'll let Sharon speak to that, but she's been working on sort of getting a better handle on what because now that was based on the past and what we, knew had been happening. Now we're kind of having to project what we believe the impact will be.
Okay, right. So
So
that
we'll
was
update
maybe
those.
kind of the first pass when we understood the world dynamic had changed a little
Yeah.
bit. That was, okay. So I think for us, as far as a body voting on this proposed change, I think it's also incumbent upon us to understand just financially what that means, like the investment that has been made by Metro in, going to twice a month. Because, frankly, as this conversation gets more just elevated at national level and gets more fraught, we have to be able to defend the choices that we've made and why we maybe are not changing or are changing. Ms. Wallstrom, I would ask, from a timing perspective, is this a 3 reading or is this it says 3 reading?
Yeah.
So it's past first reading?
No, it has
Okay.
not been brought yet.
Not been, okay, thank you, I appreciate, I know it's not yet been before this committee, and I
Yeah.
appreciate we're discussing this prior, but I wasn't sure about first reading. So I just think, there's the math particular to this contract, but that inevitably is gonna be in the context of the cost to Metro to run this recycling program. So I think, I'm really going to want, and I know other colleagues will want to see the numbers. And so I think it's, historically, how much does this cost? And now going to, and y'all, I think, already pulled some of those numbers together for us.
Yeah,
when
we have the historic.
we voted as a body to go to twice a month. But that was really right on the cusp of before, the bottom fell out of everything, right? I would just ask that we look kind of historically and then more recently with the existing contract, and then what is proposed with the new contract. So just looking at that linearly, right, over time. So, okay. And Ms. Wallstrom, do you have anything to share before waste management, or?
Basically just what Sharon said. We were sharing only 50% of the revenue, so the recycling would go in, we would pay them their processing costs, and then whatever was remaining, Metro would get 50% of the revenue, they would get 50% of the revenue. Now, there's nothing remaining. So the only thing that we've been paying them for is for the refuse disposal.
Okay.
So, other than that, it was zero. And their processing costs were so low, they weren't even covering their processing cost, much less not getting any revenue on the back end of it. Now, the way that we're gonna do, we are gonna pay them more for processing, but if the market rebounds, instead of splitting it 50-50, Metro will get 70% and they'll get 50%.
And we do believe there's going to be some rebound, but I don't believe personally it will ever get back to what it was. And a lot of people in the industry feel like it was sort of inflated revenue because China was paying quite well for material that was actually quite poor. And in the long run, I think this is going to be, putting a smiley face on it, in the long run, I think this is actually going to be better because we're going to be, our money is going to go more towards cleaner, recyclable material that is more likely to get recycled and made into something else. Whereas in the past, there's a lot of material that probably came out of Nashville that, and of course our material probably never went overseas, but still, everybody's sort of doing similar stuff. A lot of that material probably ended up just being contamination and thrown away. And the thing that's been so fantastic about these meetings and talking with people about takeout containers, for example, is people are really interested in doing the right thing. And just so you all know, this month we're doing our second water bill insert on recycling and contamination. Last month was on plastic bags, and this month is more broader on what can go in the cart. And we're trying to, and those inserts are really inexpensive for Metro, so we're trying to use them as much as possible because they go out to pretty much everyone.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way the percentage revenue share will go, which when the market rebounds, if it rebounds, that's a positive for us. Just so you know, the market values have just gone up and down. I looked at it over a 4-year time frame, and in FY17, the month of August, we were paid $48,906 for that 1 month. And this last month, just in refuse alone, we paid $21,000.
Okay.
So
21,000 out instead of 48 in.
instead of 48 in. And cardboard in FY17 was $160 a ton. The last bill that we received, we only got paid $2.12 per ton. for the cardboard. So that's kind of the way that the market has rolled on that. And I have Waste Management's projection for how much they think this additional processing will cost us for FY20, and it's about 1.5 million just for what we're doing today. And that's just the processing, that's not the collection and all the rest, but we'll pull those historical numbers for the collection cost and the processing cost.
Every component part of
Okay.
it, whether that's particular to y'all's contract, I mean, just the whole
Oh,
spectrum
yeah.
of it from a financial standpoint,
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And I would say too, I mean, I don't know from a staffing perspective, I mean, obviously, as far as from a managerial perspective, Ms. Smith, your role, but I don't know if we have any staff particular to the
Yes, we do.
recycling effort.
All of the recycling collection is picked up by Metro, both trucks and personnel.
Right.
So
right.
my portion really is primarily just the education side.
Yes,
So
yeah.
my part's really small, but we do have, and I don't know exactly how many there are, but there are probably about 20,
There's about,
15 to 20 folks that work in that area.
Yeah, yeah, and I think too, I think just for the public's understanding, right? I mean, there is, Waste Management has the trucks for the trash, but Metro has the trucks for the recycling, but you all manage the facility. I think just from a clarity standpoint for the community, that's important to understand. And then also to understand, just comparatively why, we contract with you all for trash pickup and all those trucks are out on the street, but that Metro does the recycling with trucks that we purchased with staff,
We don't actually contract with them for trash at all. We contract with
Let's not change that.
Yeah.
For collection, we contract with Red River and with Waste
Waste
Industries.
Industries.
Waste Industries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apologies,
Yeah,
Waste
that's
Industries, Waste Management,
Yeah.
okay.
Everybody's name is just a description, so.
Waste.
It's about waste.
Right, okay, I appreciate that, but I think
but
in that
point
same
taken,
FAQ
yeah.
space of just people understanding who does what and why, so, great. Waste Management, not Waste Industries. We welcome your presentation at this time.
Yeah, I mean, no real additional presentation on top of what Sharon and Sharon had to say. Richie Huckabee, who is our recycling coordinator for the southeastern United States, is the person that's been dealing with them directly. I'm government and community affairs for the same region in the southeast. So I've been working with our local team and with Richie just to try to, make sure that we address a problem that's been going on nationally for us for the last 2.5 years. I mean, we're the largest recycler in North America. We're also the largest exporter by volume of any country in the United States, and that's just recycling. And we also have the benefit of, because we're the largest recycler, I think last year it was only 28% of the recycled material that we processed actually was exported in the first place. So it's a very large market for what we're taking in. But we are able, especially in this area, to keep everything local. It's more on the West Coast that things were getting shipped overseas. And I mean, basically this is just essentially an attempt to get us back to zero. We're not trying to, make money off of this contract. We're basically just trying not to continue to lose. I think since July, it's been about $85,000 a month on the processing. So it's just, unfortunately, and no terrible pun intended, it's just not a sustainable position to be in. So I mean, we're happy to answer any questions or be a resource to anybody that needs it, whether it's this committee or the council or, or Public Works.
And so, Ms. Wallstrom or you all, if you could then explain to us as far as like the waste processing facility and kind of how that works from just a separation standpoint and what you are particularly contracted to do. I mean, it's to take it in, to separate it into various waste or recycle streams. If you could just summarize that, what it is that you're doing for Metro specifically.
Sure. And do you want me to go ahead? Yeah, I mean, it's a single stream recycling facility, so everything comes in commingled, and then our portion of the contract, and feel free to correct me or add any details, is essentially just to separate out, first of all, the contamination or residual And that eventually goes back to a landfill because it's not able to be processed. And then to sort and basically clean the material and find suitable markets for it. So the way that the contract is structured is it's a blended value, because once everything is sorted out, we get a certain rate per ton or pay a certain rate per ton for each commodity type. So there's a lot of variability and volatility in that market. But again, the way it's structured was a profit-sharing zero-floor contract. So we did have in the current contract, and not to go too far into it, we had two triggers in the contract that allowed us to request a meeting about an amendment, which were the change in China's policy, which started off as a de facto ban, saying that they would only accept material that was essentially not contaminated at all, which is effectively impossible. But then pretty quickly moved to a de jure ban, where they've just banned the import of all recycling material, from foreign sources. And the second was the contamination rate. So it has a percentage of acceptable contamination in the contract, and that's been pretty consistently exceeded, which is not unusual. I mean, we see that across the country.
And then would you say, you indicated 28% was exported, is that nationwide?
Yeah, that's nationwide. That's not specific to Nashville. I would say that almost nothing from Nashville was being exported.
Okay, right, and because I think in the national news, right, there was a whole lot of implications around, China, and I was like, God, recycling really from all the way over there?
Yeah.
That's not sustainable. Put this on a truck,
Yeah.
drive it to a port, put it on a boat, put it,
Yeah. And that's effectively what's, you're seeing a slow encroachment from coastal cities as their markets, which were predominantly export markets, are collapsing, and now you've got larger cities on the coast that are now taking up some of the volume of the domestic processing facilities, and that's just sort of working its way into the middle of the country.
So would you say, just y'all's take on kind of the national landscape from a corporate perspective, right? I mean, I think we've seen increasingly over the years from a marketability standpoint, companies that use plastic trying to kind of highlight their greenness, right, by saying X% of this is recyclable. Do you all see that trend continuing kind of from the corporate side, that they're, and Ms. Smith was sort of alluding to this, I mean, perhaps not ever back to kind of where it was, but then still a steady increase as far as the kind of the corporate demand to put more recyclable percentage, whatever it's in your cardboard in your cereal box, or your water bottle or whatever. Is that still an upward trend from y'all's?
Yes, I think it is. I mean, it's going to have a much lower ceiling than it did before, because you don't have the bubble of China. But yeah, you will see it sort of slowly, steadily increase. And again, that's because of pressure from corporate environmental awareness, and you're seeing things like bottle bills in especially the northeastern part of the country. So a lot of this is just based on the fact that there's not really, or there hasn't been, because we always had the outlet of China, there wasn't really much pressure to change things. You had a lot of hope cycling and wish cycling from residents.
Right.
And we always had the ability to say, well, this isn't ideal, but we still have an outlet for the material.
Yeah. And what I'm really seeing with some of my colleagues in other cities is, particularly the larger cities that have, like a little more clout, is pressure going back on the container industry to make products that are more recyclable. And I also see pressure, and I think one of the pluses could be of this is development of more local markets for material instead of relying on foreign markets. It could end up, probably long after I'm retired, being a point in time they look back at as this is really where we started investing locally in our local jobs instead of just shipping stuff overseas.
Right. So once the bubble bursts, obviously the trajectory kind of is flatter, but it's still an upward trajectory, I guess is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
and we're already in the process of seeing that kind of stuff. It just obviously to build that infrastructure takes time, and it's only been 2 years.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of hesitancy at the start to have somebody jump in and say, I want to fill this hole of a market that's just collapsed.
Right.
People needed to see, okay, this is what it really looks like now that we have material sitting here and waiting. What does that volume look like?
Well, the irony is China's investing in paper mills in the United States. Because they still need the cardboard, they still need the fiber. So there's just it's going to be a complete change, I think, in how material is sold in the future.
Okay. So just for the record, I'm not sure if we have, Ms. Wallstrom, you expressed as far as the, if the market were to rebound, what the revenue share would be going from 50% to a 70-30. Can you just articulate again for this legislation specifically, what are the changes in the contract that are proposed?
Basically, the changes are the per tonnage rate.
Okay, and so that is going to be
For each of the different kinds of streams.
okay.
Okay, and I've got a sheet if you want a copy of it.
Yeah, we welcome that, but I think as long as we're just recorded, if you could just enumerate that
Okay.
for the major
So for
categories.
single stream, currently it's $77.25 per ton. It will go to $98.44 per ton. For loose container stream, it will go from $75 to $98.44.
What does that mean? Yeah, what does that?
That's the recycling drop-off containers
Oh, so the,
that have the mixture of all the plastic in them.
They have to do less sorting on that
Does.
material.
So what if we went back to having separate containers? Would that save on your processing cost?
Then you would have to pick up separately. It would save on their processing costs, but it would cost us so much more from a collection
Yeah.
Well,
standpoint.
Hillsborough High School fills up the cardboard's already separated, but I mean, there are always 4 different containers there for the plastic and aluminum.
Oh, so you mean
mixed. Why not just have 2 and 2?
Continue the curbside program?
No, I'm just
No,
saying at
just
the
at the-
drop-offs.
Oh,
There are usually
okay.
multiple containers
Yeah.
anyway.
There's containers for the plastics, for glass, for cardboard, and for paper.
Yeah. So there's
Separate.
Yeah.
Separate.
And so why do those have to be processed?
Because there's still
There's
contamination
still
in them.
contamination.
checking
People are still
Yeah.
throwing things in them.
Okay, gotcha.
and can I ask y'all, I know you've done a lot like with the OOPS tags and otherwise, I mean, when I do take my glass to one of the drop-offs, I every now and then will, kind of peek in to the other, I mean, plastic bag issue there is huge. So are we also doing an intentional education effort on site?
Yes.
With folks so that like when they walk up to the little slot to put it in the big metal bin there, like, do not put a plastic bag in there? Is that the largest contaminant in?
Yeah, plastic bags are probably the worst of the worst that we get. And we're developing, and once again, we're working with a recycling partnership. We're going to update all of the signage on the recyclables so that it mirrors what we have on our recycling carts. And we're also going to put it in English, Spanish, Arabic, and Kurdish, I believe, are the ones that were recommended to us to try at the drop-off sites, because you do have a lot of different folks going there. And then put decals on all of the containers reminding people not to put plastic bags in there. And we're trying to just beat people over the head with the plastic bags, because that, even if we could just get rid of those darn bags, it would create a big difference.
Okay, so Ms. Wallstrom, again, just for the record, we have it here, but if you could then
So
just.
the glass cost remains the same at $41.20.
Okay,
The cardboard cost goes from $25.75 to $32.88. The mixed paper cost goes from $41.20 to $52.61. The percentage revenue share again goes from 50% to 70%. The refuse disposal cost is currently $54.50 and it will remain at that. And then we have not been paying for the refuse processing, and we will begin paying for that at $98.44.
What does that mean?
what does that mean? The difference between refuse disposal and refuse processing?
Because whenever it gets sorted, right now, whenever we are looking at the processing fee, they're only looking at the recycling amount that can be sold and can be segregated and sent out. And that's all we've been paying for, is the portions that are actually recyclable. We have never been paying the processing fee for the process they have to put it through to get the waste out. We had just been paying for the disposal on the waste, not for the process of pulling the waste out of the stream that is ultimately recyclable.
And how is that number derived?
Yeah, how is that not factored into the other processing fees, you would think that 9844
And I agree with you, and I had an issue with that to start out
Yeah.
with too.
Yeah.
That was a very spirited conversation.
It was, and what I was told was, and I have gone back and looked at the way that they were billing us in the past, they were only billing us a processing fee for the amount of recycled material that they had pulled out. So if they put 900 tons
by
in.
tonnage.
Yes.
Okay.
So if they put 900 tons in, and 700 tons of that was valid recycled material, they would charge us the processing fee for the 700 tons.
Not the 900.
Not the extra 200 tons that were
That-
sitting there that ended up getting thrown away.
That still had to go through the system
Right.
and still had to be processed.
Still had to
It
be
just-
touched, still had to be,
So that being said, you can see if we can get our contamination down, we start saving money.
correct.
Which is one reason why I know we've upset a lot of people with the OOPS tags and everything, but this is the way that we can actually really control and bring that dollar amount down.
So can you then explain, and I appreciate that explanation, but then as far as this amount going up, so that community members and council members can understand that this is not kind of a, double dip, so to speak. If residential single stream is going from 77.25 to 98.44, understanding that we were paying on the tonnage of the recycled product once separated, so
Right.
your illustration of 700 versus the 900 that went in, then does that remain the same in this line item here? And so you're adding this refuse process. I guess, why is that not just inherent in the cost as presented? And you just would say, okay, well, now we're charging for all the so potentially, and maybe residential single stream needs to go up to 108.22, right? So that cost is embedded, but why are those separate? I don't.
Because in the contract, the recycled portion, they would pay us a percentage of the market value if there was market value beyond what we paid for the processing.
Understood. Okay.
So they kept those numbers segregated so that they would know how much to pay us back.
Okay, I appreciate that. That makes sense.
In FY 16 and 17, we were getting money.
Okay.
And so it made sense to keep those segregated. And because they were making money off of the revenue, they didn't have as much heartburn with paying for the processing for the trash.
Okay.
But now everything with the pressure of the market and the way the processing is going, the market values, that has
world
become
has changed.
a different thing.
What is the overall?
Please, yeah, Mr. Nash.
What is the overall annual increase that particular line is going to cost the city?
Right now, we're projecting that for this year, it's going to be close to 1.5 million.
And that's total, correct, not just for that line
That's
item?
total.
Yeah, that's not just
Right, his
Yeah,
question was that particular line item.
That, I don't have that information.
And that really just depends on the contamination
contamination.
rate. So if
Contamination
the
rate.
education programs are successful, it also allows us to say, hey, you were at 30, 30% contamination. If you're down to 18,
then you start
That goes down.
spending less. Yeah.
Then you start spending less. If we pick up less tonnage, it costs less. If the market values go up, it costs less.
How do we pay Red River and Waste Industries?
We pay them on a cost per cart that they pick up, per cart.
Okay.
Gotcha. And so kind of bottom line financially, from council member and constituent standpoint, this contract, as you all propose that it is to be negotiated and before us, the cost implications to Metro from an operational perspective are 1.5 million more annually.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Next question.
Yes, please.
Okay, where's aluminum on here?
Oh, that's mixed in with containers.
It's part of that loose container.
Where it says
Yeah.
plastic?
So I should have said plastic and
Yeah.
aluminum.
Yeah.
I'll correct that.
And metal
And-
cans as
Yeah,
well?
Yeah.
they're collected. If you go to the Hillsborough
And steel.
drop-off, plastic bottles and aluminum and tin cans are all in one
together.
container together.
Well, that was my question, is why
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
we put them in separate containers if that would cut down your processing costs? Because it's always more than one container anyway. I mean, is that something to think about?
That's just a matter of we would have to get more of those containers and we
No, I
would
mean,
probably
when I go
need
there,
more
there's
space.
a plastic, put your plastic and aluminum here, and then there are three of them. So,
Oh, you mean the bays?
yeah.
We tried to do that, but the plastic section fills up so much faster than the others that operationally, it was more cost-effective for us to allow them to be commingled.
Commingled.
Yeah, and that was a decision back, actually, when I worked in our operations division, and I think it was 2005 and 6, I was over the drop-offs, the convenience centers, and curbside recycling. And we had, our contractor at the time picked stuff up in dumpsters, and we took it over because we could do it cheaper with the roll-offs that you see now. And we started out with everything, various, like the metals were together in one bin, one bay and plastic, and it just ended up being, you were hauling
So much more.
so well, you're making so many more trips because the plastic was full. And even if you extended it to 2 bays of plastic, the plastic was full, but the aluminum, it wasn't. So it
The
ended up.
glass filled at varying too, whether it's green
Exactly,
glass,
yeah.
clear glass, brown glass. I remember you used
So it's
to have
all a
to-
matter of trying to do it where you don't get too hit on the processing, but your operational costs stay, as
Okay.
low as
And-
possible.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been through your facility, but not in a while.
Yeah.
But separating plastic from aluminum and steel is a very easy
Yeah,
process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's
can
the
run through the
easiest.
machine, it really doesn't take any human handling to deal with it, so that cost is not.
Okay.
And we're going to set up, and
Yeah, that'd be good.
we want to do a couple of tours.
Sure.
And we might need your pressure to allow them to go up on the line too. I know Paul doesn't always like that a lot, but I would like them to be able to actually go up on the lines where you actually see the stuff. You can go stand in a room and look at it,
I
but
don't see why we.
wearing
we
closed-toed
can-
shoes
we
and
can
everything. It's a totally, I've spent hours there. It's just fascinating.
We will put that up to council members and invite them to join us.
And
We
we'd
try
love
get
to
some-
invite all the council
Yeah,
members.
exactly,
Yeah,
just not
'cause
just this committee. Yep.
it's just from a waste standpoint, it's really interesting to see how the recycling process works.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, please.
Do we have historic data on what number 1, 2, and 3, well, number 1 and 2 plastic have cost over that same period? And aluminum, and, you gave us cost for
Right.
cardboard, which is astounding.
Whenever I get my invoices from them, they do not have it split out that way.
Can we get that?
I'm sure
I
we
know,
can
Waste
reach out
Age
to
Daily has that kind
Ricky and
of.
get that.
Right.
Do you think he'd?
Yeah, I don't think Richard would have a problem with giving.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons it's not invoiced that way is because it was always a blended value as well.
Right.
So it was just, here's what the combined rate is, but yeah, we have that information.
Those
get
are,
that?
they're published historical
Right.
rates.
And the last time I checked, which has been several months though, the aluminum and the number 1 and number 2 plastic weren't, they were still good. It was just all this mixed together stuff that's terrible.
And FY16, we were being paid $38. FY17 was almost 48. FY18
Yeah.
blended was 47.
Right.
And this year, just the most recent billing, it was at $41.64.
But
So
also, if-
we are still getting paid for those items. Unfortunately, some of the other ones have really taken it up.
But if we went back even further in time, you would see Metro was probably getting several $100,000 a year off of
Right.
recycling processing. Certainly didn't cover the cost.
Right.
But just, that kind of puts in perspective, you're getting,
Right.
$400,000 in revenue, and you're not paying anything other than the collection to where we are now, which is there's no revenue hardly.
And you're also.
What I'm confused is, I believe that our plastic is no dirtier than it was, and you're saying China was paying us for trash, basically, and now we have to actually have a commodity. But number 1 plastic and number 2 plastic and aluminum are great commodities from what the garbage magazines have. So.
Yeah, one of
are
the
we still
issues
getting
is that,
revenue?
just going back to
Yeah.
the issue with the bays, with the aluminum and plastic, the material that has value, we're seeing less and less of that come into facilities. You have people, when people go and try to pick up recycling for value personally, they're grabbing aluminum. They're not
Right.
they're not stacking up cardboard. So you're seeing it as a smaller and smaller portion of the overall, total of what's coming in. And contamination is getting worse on things like mixed paper and cardboard. And so it's just not able to keep up with the escalating costs on the other materials.
And right now, mixed paper is costing us. Could we just
Yes, it
forget
is.
mixed paper? And move into composting, which is supposed to be the next piece of our zero waste master plan anyway?
Well, we would have to have my recommendation would be that we have actually a collection program for residents before we discontinue it, because it's a sizable chunk of what we have, and the cost for us to start an organics program would be pretty significant. I mean, one thing that I would love for us to do is, and obviously not probably in this fiscal year or next, is to have a pilot program and, pick or have neighborhoods compete to be part of a pilot where we do a every other week recycling collection, the opposite weeks, every other opposite week trash collection, and a weekly organics, and really see how that works from a collection, how people respond to that, because everybody gets excited if you think about every other week trash collection, but those of us who recycle, I put my bin out once a month, sometimes twice a month, but it's just not that often. And if you had the organics, so that sort of stinky waste or the putrescible waste wasn't a factor, then you can have trash sit there longer. I would love for us to be able in maybe FY22 or 23 to do a pilot and see how much it ends up costing us, how successful it is, before we to just throw all of our eggs in that basket. And
I will volunteer my very dense neighborhood. You're into that. It just, because I look at mixed paper, and that's the thing we're spending the most on, which seems. And when does the hauling contract come up for renewal, and when does your contract come up for renewal?
so their contract was 2016, I believe, and so it'll come up in 2025, right about then.
Waste management or waste?
Yeah,
Waste management, it was a
the-
6-year.
Yeah, I don't know on the Red River and Waste Industries contracts.
The Waste Industries contract will be coming to you shortly, because theirs expires in December of this year. And we have already worked an amendment with them. They have agreed to leave the cost remaining the same to provide the service for the next 5 years. They have an escalation clause in there that they have said they will not use for the first 2 years. So the price will remain the same for 2 years, and then they can tap into an escalation clause up to a maximum of 3% increase
And is that,
in years 3, 4, and 5.
how does that contract tie in with the zero waste long-term goals of trying to create a waste authority and that kind of stuff?
So it's, obviously we're going to still be picking up waste for some time into the future, and no matter what, we're going to be picking stuff up. So these collection contracts are actually really beneficial. But by 2025, we're going to be looking at all new contracts for everything. So our disposal contract, we'll have to make a decision by January of this coming year whether we want to extend the Republic disposal contract or not. That contract ends in January of 2022.
And that's the landfill
Yes,
contract.
but the renewal language requires us to notify them 2 years in advance if we are going to renew or not. The advantage of that is if, and we want to have a broader conversation with you all on that contract, because if we decide collectively we don't want to renew, the advantage is that gives us 2 years to go out and, put out an RFP and get another option. So it's.
So what if we are required 2 years notice and it expires in January of 2022? So.
January of 2020, we have to decide, by then we have to decide what we want to do.
By the end of this January.
It's
Who's that?
almost November.
Yeah.
Okay, so to be honest, what we have asked them to do is in the month of October, and they've committed to doing this, they wanted to present us what their proposed rate would be, because we can't make a very informed decision unless we know what.
Right.
Are they going to reduce? Are they going to? So then we'll have a couple of months to look at that and decide. And we've been contacted by a lot of people that want Nashville's waste.
Okay, but from a deliverable standpoint, when are they committed to get that to you?
This month.
Before the end of October?
Yeah.
So by October 31st?
Yeah.
And then,
Because Sharon and I have had a couple of meetings with them, letting them know that we can't wait until, January 31st. We've got to know now if they're willing to do any, better deal for us that would make it incentive. And we laid it out very clear to them. We know their landfill has a limited capacity, and we kind of want to know.
And can we build in flexibility for, again, assuming in a couple of years we've got a great compost pilot going and suddenly we're able to.
Yeah,
Build
we've
on
actually
that.
talked about having a more of an out clause with them. Right now, the way that contract is set up, and this is one of those contracts that preceded us. It's a 30-year contract, and it is a contract that the less you landfill, the more per ton you pay, which is what to be honest, that's what most of them are like.
Sure.
But from a sustainability standpoint, that is frustrating.
Right.
That you think every time you reduce waste, you could potentially, if it's not significant, end up paying more to landfill. So we've laid out, we've kind of put it out on the table for them, and they're supposed to be coming back. But Public Works picks up about 500 tons a day, and that is a sizable amount of waste that a lot of people are interested in. But you just never know.
So as far as being approached by other landfills or is that a procurement? Is that an RFP, or we're just
We
informed?
would,
would
yeah,
be an
they're just
RFP.
reaching out to see, when's your contract ending, would you be interested in doing something else, here's what our deal is, that type of thing.
Okay, and so procurement, we have a lot of problems there as far as how that department is managed, I'll say. So are we suggesting that we would be able to put out an RFP for another potential landfill partner prior to January 31st?
Oh, no, that's just when we have to decide.
Then we have 2 more years
to
left
do
on the
that.
contract.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you, so that is a
Oh,
two-year
God, no,
notification
yeah.
standpoint. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I have a question.
We still have
2
Councilwoman
years.
Gamble.
Yes, the zero cost floor, just for my clarification, that's going to be abolished. What exactly did that mean, zero cost floor?
It meant that no matter how low the market went, they were gonna eat that cost.
And we only had to pay for the refuse.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
It was.
I was like, wow, that was a great deal.
Well, but the trade-off was, it was a 50-50 share.
Right,
So they got 50% of the revenue. And that's part of it, since now we don't have a $0 floor, and we will be paying more. If and when the market rebounds, we wanted a larger share
Yeah.
of the revenue on the backside.
Oh, yeah, it was great when you were talking to
Oh, yeah.
some of the other Middle Tennessee cities, and
They're talking about how much
and
they
they're paying.
paid,
I was
and they're
like, we don't pay anything, we've got a zero floor.
Yeah,
How long
so
do
not so
we
much
get to
anymore.
take advantage of that?
We've been taking advantage of that since the
about
prior
3
contract.
years.
Well, but through QRS. QRS was our
Yeah.
original contractor for curbside recycling, and we had a zero floor with them, and it carried over, Waste Management bought them out, and it carried over, and all the way up till whenever this ordinance passes, and then it's over.
How many years would you say you've been losing money?
Since the beginning of 2017,
Okay.
and so we were making money at the beginning of 2017, but quickly stopped. I mean, for example, like, I'm from Louisville. We went from, at the beginning of 2017, blended value, and we don't own the facility there. Their QRS facility was bought by a company called West Rock. So we just have the hauling contract. We take it to their facility to drop off. We were being paid about $5 a ton, and now we are being charged $80 a ton. So it's a similar situation, in Louisville as it is here.
Can I ask two more questions?
You may,
Okay.
Council Lady Allen.
We have talked about when we got the second recycling, then that would give people an option to deal with their
Second
waste
trash
so that
card,
they
yeah.
would not need the second trash card. Are we gonna help derive some revenue by charging for that second
Well,
trash card?
Sharon's actually working on that, because we were asked to look at any way that we could increase revenues.
Yeah, that seems like a way.
And I am going to take a look at it, but disclaimer, as far as the historical and everything else, a lot of times whenever we're asked to look at these kind of things, they hire an outside company to come in and do that. They've asked me to take a first pass at it, but that is an awfully lot of work to gather all of that kind of information and provide the same kind of analysis that an outside company would provide. So we've had 2 people retire off of my staff. So I'm trying to do this basically on my own.
All right, so just because this was something that was written down as a policy back in 2011, and we didn't get to it in 2013 like we were gonna.
Right.
Tell me why we are required to go through an analysis as opposed to.
Oh,
just-
I think
That was-
yes, two separate things.
Right.
So, yes, we're going to propose a cost for anybody who has more than one trash card. And I think there's about 20,000 of them out there. But I think what we'll see,
20,000 second cards?
yeah,
Yes.
houses with second cards.
Okay.
And that number, I can get the hard number. I'm saying that from memory.
And then
Right.
how many houses do we serve? Because I know we have GSD where people are contracting
Yes.
separately, but how many? So
just under 140,000 homes.
Okay, so, and
And about 20-ish.
20K of which have
Maybe we
two.
should say 20 to 30,000 of those have two
Okay,
trash cards.
okay.
And if we could get them down to one or have them pay that fee, that is going to help offset some of this processing cost as well. So that's something that we're wanting to propose to the administration that we look at doing.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to move forward with that because now that we've added a secondary
Yeah.
recycling cycle. I mean, I myself, I have 2 recycle bins,
Yeah, me too.
1 trash bin. My trash bin is never filled weekly. I mean, before this recent change, I probably, so I was still maxing out my 2 carts every month. I personally, I'm a 4-person household. I could do trash every other week already. But, I mean, I know every family varies as to their needs or whatever, but I think
But I think this is going to be the right time to do it. And we can put together potentially what that revenue would be. To be perfectly honest, we already charge for people that have 3 or more, but it is a very small number. It's in the hundreds. I think it's like a couple, 300, something like that. I don't know if you
Yes.
remember.
Yeah.
250? Yeah, it's just not very many.
So, Ms. Wallstrom, if I could just to finish up on that and then absolutely come back to you. Council Lady Allen has asked about that. I know you said from a staffing perspective, your ability to do that analysis. Would it be helpful if we were to kind of set a date certain when you could report to this committee on that matter particularly? Would, I guess as we're starting to have these conversations related to the landfill in January, is that something you can get us by January 15, perhaps? Okay.
The longer that we can set it out there, the better. But
Okay.
at this point, I understand the pressure and the need to get some information, so.
So if you could get a
Okay.
committee, does that sound appropriate from a time-wise perspective? Okay, so January 15th, if you could
Okay.
just report back to us from an analysis perspective on the second cart
Okay.
charge and what that would,
Or would you just the second card charge quick or do anything?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm missing some pieces of information.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Okay, and Councilman Gamble, you had another question.
Are there any plans for more information and education about recycling aluminum to increase that? Would that be a benefit? Increasing our aluminum recycling tonnage?
I hadn't really thought about focusing on one particular thing, but we certainly can encourage that. Unfortunately, aluminum is the thing that's, first of all, most likely to be sort of stolen from your recycling cart, particularly if you're in an alley. And secondly, there are some people, even on my staff, that save their aluminum and sell it. So it's the thing that people know that no matter what.
I didn't even know they were private. I mean, who are they buying? Who's buying?
Oh, well, actually, the big PSC metal that's
Okay.
downtown.
Downtown, drive your
Yeah.
little car over their big scales and.
Yeah.
Drag it. Lots of things.
Yeah, and we invariably will see, homeless folks with one of our carts, that they have absconded, filled with aluminum and various recyclables going over there to sell them. Yeah.
Now, whenever they do drag the cart into PSC confiscates our carts and calls us, and we go back and pick them up.
Nice.
What kind of cart are you talking about?
Like the trash recycling carts.
Just a residential.
They'll just grab one of those, and you'll see somebody walking down the street pulling one of our carts. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, some interesting use out of that. Yes, Councilwoman Allen.
Do we, in addition to touring y'all's processing facility, I would love to tour what in Middle Tennessee or even Tennessee are the locations of the people who are reprocessing aluminum or paper or whatever? Is there anybody locally?
No, Alcoa may be the closest,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, in Blount County over
In Alcoa.
Maryville.
It's in Alcoa.
Gotcha.
Alcoa
Yeah, that'd
City.
be probably the
I
closest.
mean,
to
I
us.
would just be interested to know who the local markets are and what we as a city can do to encourage, the development of local markets so that we've got somebody to sell this stuff to, because.
And can I inquire too, I know obviously this is the state level, but, several states, I guess, which we will travel to have, like bottle redemption. And does that
Our
solely?
state has preempted that.
Right, I know locally we can't do that, obviously, again, saying that at a state level. But are there any conversations at the state level? There's no revenue there, and so there's no incentive?
You're just never going to have a bottle bill pass in the legislature we
Yeah.
have right now.
Right.
It's just the reality of it.
Right.
And and to be honest, the industry lobbies hard against it.
No, that's
Yeah.
that's the
Do
problem.
you represent them?
No, I just work in the governor's office. So,
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, yes.
Okay. So any other kind of factors or dynamics that we should be aware of from a state perspective or here locally? We've talked kind of about landfill, trash pickup, recycle, the international dynamics. As long as we are here and on the record, anything else that you want the community or other council members to be aware of?
So one of the great things that was happening as part of the zero waste planning process we went through is we started meeting. One of the requirements was that we have regional meetings. So I worked with TDEC to host the first regional meeting where we got all the regional solid waste nerdy people together. And then TDEC funded the Greater Nashville Regional Council, whose GNRC is they took on the MPO, so that's where Michael Skipper is. And their waste person is the former solid waste director for the city of Franklin. And they started hosting regional meetings. And so unfortunately, for the first time, we all started really talking to each other. And Nashville's sort of the elephant in the room because we're the big generator, but still Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, Franklin, they're all starting to generate, and we've had a lot of conversations with GNRC and together in those meetings of how can we work together regionally, because waste is 90% transit and recycling and all it's all transportation, and if we can have those conversations with them. So there's been, and we're going to have a meeting of the Solid Waste Board December 4th, and one of the things that we want to, and I'm going to send an email out to invite the committee, the Public Works Committee, but one of the things that we want to talk about it, that is to have GNRC there, we want to talk about other options for us on transportation in the future. Rail and barge. And Sharon and I have met with some folks that have talked a lot about barge and potential options in the future, that with 500 tons a day, it is a chunk of waste that could potentially help us find some options outside of just your traditional put it in a truck and drive it to a landfill. So I do want people to know that we're not sort of staying just within Davidson County. We really are trying to see how can we partner outside and how can we collectively try and do some bargaining together so that we're getting better rates all across the board, especially the adjacent rural counties that could really benefit from the tonnage that we have. If you combine Nashville and Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, you're talking about over 700 tons a day potentially. That starts getting bigger and bigger, and I truly believe we're only going to be successful in long-term planning if we work with the area partners. It's like transit. It's not like something magical happens at the county lines.
Right.
There's 18 counties using the same landfill we're using. There's 18 counties that are going to be trying to figure out what are we going to do next. And I think from my perspective, that has been one of the most important things that has come out of the planning is getting these conversations started.
I appreciate that. Also, construction waste. Can you speak to that and where that goes? And if there are presently any incentives? I mean, I see job site dumpsters, and I'm like, wow, there's timber in here, and there's this and that, so
Yeah.
to the extent that at home-based level, we're like aluminum, plastic, whatever, all that just seems to be going in a big old dumpster, and it would seem that there would be some upside there, but just what are the market dynamics on that? Do we have any requirements in that regard? Where does that stuff go? Because that goes to a just different kind of landfill, is that correct?
Yes, it
Okay.
does. So,
That's in county.
Okay.
and that's the only landfill we have, which is in District 1, which is a construction demolition landfill. But Davidson County landfilled over 350,000 tons of construction demolition debris in calendar year 2018. That is an area of material that's highly recyclable. To be perfectly honest, we would like to come back to this group with a proposed ordinance
Yeah.
that would require, and it can be so simple as saying, your first step, you are required to have different containers on a job site for different types of materials that are highly recyclable, metals, unpainted, untreated wood, things like that, and then graduate up. I would like us to, and we're looking at some other cities right now, have an ordinance that requires the very large construction companies that are likely already recycling, starting with them and getting their buy-in for requirements for large producers, and then slowly over time going down to medium to smaller construction companies. There's no reason we should be landfilling so much of that material, but it's just easier.
Right.
If it's all mixed together, right now we have only one processor that does C&D recycling processing. There is another, and they are looking to sell. There is another company that is looking to come in to our area, and they will be coming before you all in the event, and I've met with them and have encouraged them. They're identifying property and very interested in doing C&D recycling. So they will have to go through the Jackson Law. So they'll be coming before you all in council if we can get them interested. But nonetheless, the amount of C&D material that was recycled last year was like 3% to less. It was tiny in comparison to the total amount we're landfilling. That being said, there are some out-of-county recyclers. It's possible that some of this is getting recycled, but I don't have real high hopes that it's much more than what we're seeing in the county.
Okay. With that, colleagues, do you have any other questions?
One more.
Mr. Nash?
Just so I'm clear, we have to notify our landfill by this January, whether we're going to continue the contract past the 2 years?
Yes, so
So we're not obligated, which would obligate us.
To start an RFP process and
Okay.
fund something else.
yeah,
If we said we weren't going to continue beyond the 2 years, which would hit the end of their contract,
yeah.
then we would have to start the RFP process within that 2-year time frame and have somebody else lined up.
And their contract ends?
The initial term ends in January 2022. We have two options for 2 5-year extensions.
Oh, okay.
So if we decided to renew, it would basically be tacking on 5 years starting in 2022. But the good thing is that if we say, we really want to see what's going on, maybe Waste Management's got, some cheaper options and wants to drop us down to a 0 floor on recycling our waste.
Here goes negotiation.
Yeah, and then we would be like, I think we're going to put this out, that's a whole different conversation, yeah.
I have one more request for information. So I had asked about getting sort of a history of commodity prices, just on an average annual basis or something like that for the past 5 years or something. Would it be possible to get just some documentation on where stuff is going, where you send the paper, where you send the cardboard?
Sure, I think, that's something that we can both get with Richie Huckabee.
Yeah.
He would have the information. Yeah.
Okay, I'd love to know both of those things.
And so, Ms. Smith,
So I don't know if it would be
Wallstrom, if this will then be filed for first reading at our November 5th meeting, is that correct?
We're not sure.
We're not sure because
think
there's
today
been one change that they have requested, and I'm not sure if it's gonna have to go back through the signature process again. If it does, we hope that we can get it filed in time to
That would
hit
be
that
late
next
filed at this
meeting.
juncture, wouldn't it? Because was it noon today?
Yeah, I think it was noon today.
Yeah, but it would,
We're
Actually,
hoping
is
that maybe
it?
we
Because
could
we
do
have
an
a, we
amendment.
have a lag or.
that's right, we have
Yeah.
a lag, so it's the 6th. Well, it's the 6th for the middle of November.
if we
So
can-
we're hoping to get
Yeah.
all of that, because right now they had held their signature portion of the process because they had the request that they wanted to make, and therefore, because they had not signed, we couldn't file it, because we didn't have all the appropriate signatures.
Yeah.
All right, so whether it's first meeting or second meeting November, I guess I would just ask Ms. Smith, if you're going to work to update the FAQ online to reflect the kind of current dynamics, and then Ms. Wallstrom, you had the things that we asked for kind of particularly to this contract, just for council members' information.
Okay.
So whether that's by
So-
email or otherwise.
Okay, so you had specifically asked, I want to make sure I have it down, to run the recycling, both the cost of recycling, both historically and now with once a month, and now also projecting what it would be with twice a month.
Correct,
Okay.
with the new contract.
Right.
Historically, and then we talked also about the second cart, but that's for January 15th.
Okay.
And then colleagues, was there anything else that we asked for particularly in the financial space, just so Ms. Wallstrom is aware? Yeah. I guess what I would say is, so while colleagues will be able to watch this and we can point them to that, we've got this document here, but if there's anything else that you think, just from a one-sheet perspective for colleagues, I think that's always helpful. We get a lot of emails, we get a lot of information, and we want to make sure that everybody's well-informed ahead of time, so that it's not something that we are needing to defer to answer questions. We always obviously welcome that, but if we can inform everybody ahead of time, then we can keep this moving.
I thought of one more thing, and this may be more than can be done anytime soon, but to me, it would be interesting to see what the cost of pulling the mixed paper out would be. I mean, what does it cost us to just have Republic and Red River pick it up? I mean, Red River and Waste.
So just put it in the
Industries pick
trash, yeah.
I mean, and I know part of this is we get everybody trained and we don't want to be changing or what, untrained and all that kind of stuff. But are we paying more to have it sent through and it's the hardest thing to pull out, and then we're paying to have it taken somewhere and it's not being used anyway, or is it being used? I don't know.
No, it is.
It is
It is being
recycled.
recycled.
What is into what?
Stuff like toilet paper
Yeah,
and.
anything that uses pulp paper,
Yeah.
or anything that says, recycled paper, all of those, just depending on what kind of mixed
Yeah.
paper it actually
Right,
is.
right. So it is actually,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the stuff that's not is in that portion that's considered residual that goes back. Like if you get a pizza box with grease on it,
Yeah.
it goes back in.
like that.
Yeah.
Or the plastic bags.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. That's-
Mr. Nash?
Are we still confident that we're better off contracting our hauling? as
Rather than
opposed-
by employees?
Yes. We find it okay for the recycling, but somehow we don't for the hauling.
We looked at that the last time that we had an RFP, and the cost that came in for the RFP when we did the Madison annexation, we looked at what they were charging us per cart versus what it would cost us to do it internally. By the time we purchased trucks, paid gas, paid for maintenance, paid our employees, paid the benefits, got the uniforms, all the rest of that, we looked at it and they were still cheaper than what we could have done it internally. For that was the most recent price that we received, was the Madison annexation. So when we compare it to that, if we put it back out for RFP across the board for everything that we have right now, I'm not sure we'd get a cost that low, but it would be very close as to what we pay the contractor on the outside and what we would have to pay internally for.
Seems like I remember when
all
we made the
equipment and
transition,
It was cheaper.
there'd been a couple of big strikes.
Right.
And I think the rationale for part of that was, we're gonna have some of our guys do it, but we also need to have some contractors on board, just in case we have some labor issues. But it seems now we've moved it all to.
We have not completely. We still have some of our employees picking up
Yeah,
trash.
we do about 30%, 25 or so percent of the collection.
Is still Metro.
But one thing we would like to do in the future, and now I'm speaking for Philip, but our operations director, is we would like to have more smaller contracts than one big contract. Well, the Waste Industries contract's pretty small, but the Red River contract's very big. We would probably all do better to have multiple smaller contracts than one huge kind of contract. But we still pick up like about 25 to 30%.
So the 25 to 30%, is that in a particular area? Is that the commercial?
No,
or
it's
alleys?
alleys, it's all over.
Okay, interesting. And
Right.
so.
And we try to maintain that, because just like when we had the flood,
We have
were
all those
able-
resources.
We have all those resources, so our contractors kept picking up the trash, but we pulled a lot of our guys off.
To pick up the
To
debris.
pick up all the debris and to try to keep
Yeah.
things out of the way. So they were the only people with boots on the ground for about the first
Yeah, and
week and a half of that.
And there was
They were using the trash trucks and the recycling trucks to get a
And the
lot
brush
of the debris.
trucks,
And the brush
too.
trucks to get
Yeah.
a lot of the debris out of the way.
because we do all the brush collection, we used to have a contractor, we do it all, and
Right.
it's a huge benefit to have those resources
Right,
when
when you have a
something.
storm event.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, when something happens.
God bless the child that has his own.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we were able to help some surrounding counties.
Right.
It's good.
All right, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All right.
Second.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
That adjourns the meeting of Public Works Committee.
Interesting. Learn lots of stuff.
Hopefully that was
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.